Hi, I'm Melissa Tassone,
And I'm Alex Lulek.
and we did our final stats research project on marketing internships in the Chicagoland area. Our objective was to find out what marketing internships in the Chicagoland area would be the best to apply for. Since we're both marketing majors and minors, we wanted to understand what internships would be the best fit for us to apply to before graduation so that we would have a little bit more work experience on our resume.
We also want to make sure our internships we got compensated appropriately for them because we both have a lot of bills to pay and we just wouldn't be able to sacrifice a lot of hours out of our week without getting it paid because we just need the money.
Like I said, we wanted to gain work experience before graduation, so we wanted to understand what marketing internships looked for as far as qualifications before we even applied to know if we were qualified for any of these internships. And staying local to Chicago, Chicago's our home, so we just didn't want to look anywhere else.
So our first research question that we looked at was, does the amount of work experience for a potential applicant have an effect on the pay per hour? And our hypothesis on this was that yes, the work experience does pay an effect on the pay per hour.
Our second research question was, does the company's income affect the potential applicant's pay per hour? And for our hypothesis for this, we said the company's income does affect the pay per hour because if the company's income is relatively high, can afford to either have more internships or pay internships better, depending on the company's numbers and everything like that. So we just wanted to look at that to see if it had a direct correlation with the pay per hour for marketing internships.
So our results were for our hypotheses were that work experience actually does not affect pay per hour, and neither does the company's income. So that means that we can accept the null hypothesis. And
The education, to our surprise, was directly related to the pay per hour. We tested three parts of that variable, one of them being high school diploma, another being a work in progress bachelor's degree, and the other is actually having the bachelor's degree. And naturally, having a bachelor's degree when applying for these jobs usually means that you're going to get paid more per hour in Chicago. Are the average salary wage for Chicago internships for marketing is around 14 an hour. So if you don't have that kind of degree or level of education, you can expect to earn around 14 an hour anyways until you complete your degree at your schooling.
so as you can see in these graphs, the salary or the hourly wage compared to the company's income has a very slight decline in the slope. So that means technically that the two aren't really relatable.
Between the salary and the number of employees, it was nearly a straight line. And you can see with the scatter chart that there are some outliers, but they're all relatively stay pretty consistent. So just because the number of employees in a company or the size of the company goes up doesn't mean that the salary will then too go up. But if you look at the salary per hour with the levels of education, it has a positive correlation um, when comparing and contrasting them too. So getting a bachelor's degree leads to more pay per hour than a high school diploma does. When we ran multiple regression, we found that using the p-value to determine the level of significance and how to accept and reject main and null hypothesis, the only two factors that accepted the main hypothesis was the paid and unpaid, obviously, and the education needed in order to get a high-paying marketing internship. So the rest of the variables like work experience, part-time, full-time, company's income, and number of employees all accepted the null hypothesis, and so those factors do not directly affect the pay per hour.
So then we ran the correlation between our two x values, which were paid, unpaid, and education needed. And because the correlation, we ran a correlation and it was below zero point 0.7, that meant that neither education or paid unpaid had any correlation between each other. And so, as you can see, our final equation was y equals 1.79 plus 12.2 x1 plus 6.28 x2. Okay, so some advice that we have for people that are looking for internships in the marketing field is that the, to make sure that you apply to any internship out there, because companies don't really look at your work experience or how big the size of the company is, whether how many employees they have or what their income is. But just note that stay in school, get a higher education, because if you're looking for a higher paid internship, that's what companies are actually looking for.
And the other variables such as work experience, number of employees, company's income, part-time, full-time, does not directly affect pay per hour, although they are still factors to consider when applying. Um, just because you don't have work experience doesn't mean that you can't apply to big jobs, because internships are part working, part learning. So that's the point of having an internship before you actually are searching for jobs post graduation. So just have the confidence in your work and that you're going to learn at any internship that you get accepted to. Just look at all the variables and understand that you should get compensated for your work and not take unpaid internships. Thank you.